Hi everyone, this is Josh with Josh Wright Piano TV. Today's episode is actually requested by over 100,000 people. My wife is always helping me with marketing, and she said, oh my gosh, there's a question on Quora of is it too late for me to start piano as an adult? And today we're going to answer that question, and we're also going to go over recommendations of repertoire books that I would recommend starting with, that I start with my students. Before we do that, I just wanted to tell each of you a little bit about my VIP Masterclass series. It's all about custom videos tailored to members' requests. If you'd like to learn more about it, you can click in the link below. The last 3 weeks of videos, today's episode that I filmed today was for David. He talked about wanting to be able to push the envelope. How do I get to those higher tempos? How do I know when it's going to break down too much? Last week's was the collapsing beat exercise, which is all about how to improve speed in scales and a special trick to be able to do that. And then the week before that was an episode on the Beethoven Appassionata Sonata third movement. So I hope if you're interested, just check out the VIP link below. Let's get on to today's video, which I want to start with the statement that it is not too late to learn piano, that I've taught many beginners. I've taught, as adults, I've taught beginners in their 80s, and I've taught beginners in their 20s. So that all falls in adult age. But even if you're 100, it's not too late. Because why are we studying music? It's to bring ourselves joy. We're not studying music to beat somebody or to make a lot of money trying to be this famous concert pianist, because I can tell you the famous concert pianists aren't doing it for the money. They're doing it for the passion. There's a lot of other careers that would be much easier to earn money than trying to make it as a concert pianist. So having said that, how do you get started? The first thing is I would get the best teacher you can afford. That is such a good piece of advice that everyone passes by. They say, no, I want to learn on my own. Now, if you just want to dabble, today's video with the repertoire books will help you, but I firmly believe that the only reason I've had as much success as I have in my career is due to my teachers, especially my first teacher, Susan Duhlmeyer. Well, my first teacher was my grandma for 4 years. She was amazing. She taught me a great love of music and reinforced all the basics. But then my teacher, Susan Duhlmeyer, who was the piano area chair at the University of Utah, from age 9 to 25, I took from her. It's an amazingly long time. And during that time, the last few years, I also did private studies with Sergei Babayan. And then for my doctorate, I went to Logan Skelton at the University of Michigan. All amazing teachers. So important, get a good teacher. Second of all, you want to cover a few things in your practicing each day. You want to cover exercises to improve your technique. If you don't have good facility, you're never going to be able to play well. You need to cover sight reading, which is self-explanatory. You need to work on sight reading each day. Try to get something new each day. Just one piece, work on it. I generally like to do things about 5 times in a row. People will say, oh, it's not sight reading on the second time. Yeah, it is. You're still learning it. It's still very introductory. Now, if you can play the piece perfectly on your first try, get something harder. If it's impossible to get through even one measure, get something easier. Okay, so do a little sight reading each day. That's tip number 2. Tip number 3, work on repertoire pieces. You need a good balance of all of those things. Let me go through the technique exercises that I recommend. First of all, Hanon is, as old as it gets so far as a classic repertoire or classic exercise book. The first part of the book, I would get the 60 exercises for piano. They sell them in 20 exercises. I don't like that book. You want the 60 exercises. So it starts with this. Watch my technique series, even if you just watch the YouTube samples, because it's a paid video course through my website. I'll link it below in case you want to view it. But even if you just watch the samples on YouTube, you can still get a lot of valuable tips on how to practice that creatively. It's not just working your fingers each day, it's working creative things like rhythms or finger staccato. The second book that I like, oh, by the way, Hanon has all your scales, arpeggios, chromatic scales. It has like a bunch of trill exercises and repeated note exercises, but it will have all of those. You may want to also get a chords book, exploring chords and seventh chords. I don't have a good recommendation. I believe there's a book called the Brown Scales book that has those. but I don't know. I think they do. They do. I need to explore that myself. Okay, anyways, there's plenty to do here anyway. Second book I love is Schmidt Preparatory Exercises, which is all about gaining finger independence. It starts with little 5-finger patterns, which are so dinky. And then exercise 3. Just getting your fingers moving. But when you get to exercise number 35, let's see here. Oh, 34. It has you hold down a note and then play everything else smooth. Very beneficial for helping you gain finger independence. I've seen a lot of people gain a lot of value from working on Schmidt. Czerny exercises, C-Z-E-R-N-Y. By the way, I'm going to link as many of these down below for Amazon links as I can find. So that'll be quite a bit of work, but I will go through and try to find as many of these for you guys as possible. These start out with very basic little exercises, but they're cute little pieces that deal with very basic harmony. And you can work on transposing with these as well. So, for instance, here's exercise 13. That's half of it. You could practice. Okay, that's also very beneficial. Practice it in D flat major, practice it in G major. Very good book. For reading, learning to read, I highly recommend this book. Not because I'm endorsing this company or anything, but I just think they've done a better job than most other companies. That's just my opinion. If you learned with Bastian, I'm not dissing on Bastian. I actually learned with Bastian when I was a kid. I like Faber better. It's called Piano Adventures, and this is the adult Piano Adventures. It's a lot better than working through like a million of those little kids' books, because all the kids' books have technique, lesson book, performance book, theory, and then a couple others. These collapse it into 2 books, and by the end of the second book, you're playing stuff like this. Let's turn to the very end. You're playing Grieg's wedding, or Mendelssohn's Wedding March. That's one of the things I love, is they simplify those pieces down. Now that's pretty complex, just through 2 books. They're about 200 pages each. Great books. They explain in detail every concept, and I even have a student in New York that I teach who has all of the supplements on his iPad, which help with playing along with the pieces' accompaniments. Sorry, I'm on low battery here. Let's see. Okay. Next, so those are going to be your sight reading pieces, and they're also kind of your repertoire pieces. For the first few months, lump your sight reading and your beginning repertoire into those books, and then also explore repertoire books. Now, these are 3 or 4 books that I really like. This first one's nice because it goes through in levels. This is called Keith Snell. It has 2 different books. Baroque and Classical is one book, and then Romantic and 20th Century is another book. So this is the level 1, very easy stuff. This is called Round Dance by Ferdinand Bayer. It just is all classical repertoire pieces. So it's not simplifying them like the Faber did. These are actual pieces. So and so forth. Okay, so, and there's even pieces by famous composers. I don't know if it's in this book. Bartók, Folk Dance. So that's a really good book because it goes in levels. Easy to kind of track your progress. One of my favorite books that I recommend to all students for sight reading when they're at an intermediate level, and it's a good repertoire for beginners, is Easy Classics to Moderns. I like volume 17. Obviously they have a lot of good volumes though, but this one has real famous pieces like Bach Minuet or Takatina by Kavalevsky. So Easy Classics to Moderns. It's very fun because it goes in chronological order, not necessarily difficulty level. They're all around the same difficulty level within a, giving yourself a little window. This is a really fun book. This is called Jazz, Rags, and Blues by Martha Meyer. I'm not going to demonstrate any of this because these are copyrighted pieces. Nothing I've played up to this point is copyrighted because the Faber is a derivative work. But this Jazz, Rags, and Blues is very good, and it's super fun for little kids. The last book is called Applause. I really love this book. It's showy classical pieces. So, Sonatina in A minor by Benda. Really fun. It has solfeggetto. Really fun piece. Just so many great showstoppers, and those are getting more towards the intermediate, maybe even early advanced level. But usually by the time students get through the Faber books, they're ready for stuff like this, or at least those easy classics. Once they get through a few of those, then they're ready to go into this Applause book. I hope this has been helpful. Study the piano. It's one of the greatest things for your brain. It helps, they've done studies that say it helps ward off Alzheimer's and dementia. I don't know how true that is because sadly my grandma has dementia right now and she was a piano teacher her whole life. But I know it does keep your brain very active. And the amazing thing is my grandma can't remember the little details in her life. She can still sit down and play all these amazing pieces on the piano in the rest home that she's in. So it is quite amazing what kind of impact music has. She taught me my first great love for music, so this video is dedicated to her. If any of you have any questions, please let me know. My email is josh@joshwrightpiano.com. Thanks so much for joining me today. Have a great week. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. Remember to subscribe, and you can also check out some other videos over here. Have a great week.